Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today, April 15th, a day that will live in infamy. It's our tax day. This is episode 52. I apologize for not doing a show the last couple of days. Just didn't feel up to it, folks. It happens. For you people that are either just subscribed or are viewing this live, this is a conservative-leaning podcast. Put that out there. I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican, not MAGA. I use the Constitution in a lot of my decision-making. My discussions are 90% on federal issues that affect all citizens. But I do get into some state issues, mainly pertaining to fraud or mainly pertaining to the House of Representatives and the Senate. I try to avoid as much as possible any what I call tabloid news. It doesn't serve a purpose other than, something to read at the breakfast table. If you still read a newspaper, which I do not. I gave up on it. So it's a conservative-leaning podcast, but I do try to stay as unbiased as I can. Democrats are making it difficult, folks, to do that. I mean, they just go from one point and it's all pointing left. It didn't work for you in 2024. Why would you stay on the same path that did not work for you? You're missing a mark here, but you're so entrenched in it, you can't get out. All right. Today we're going to talk about a couple of topics. Some of these are a little bit have some dust on it, but need to be discussed, at least by me. New York Times reporter admits his bias against the administration. Yet another military leaker caught being naughty. We're going to have a couple of people resign from the House of Representatives today. Or have. DOJ wins a big one against the judge. And I'll be speaking about my thoughts on Iran and what's going on. All right, so let's just jump right into it. We are 3 minutes into the show. I want to thank everyone who watches, everyone who subscribes. If you like it, please subscribe. If you don't like it, at least leave a comment on, what you feel. And I get, the other day someone called me a moron. I think my wife sent that. But leave comments. Like to know where you're from, at least what state you're from. I don't know why people don't do that. It's just, I guess they just don't want to be identified. I have no problem identifying myself or telling people where I'm from, or not worried about it. We live in a free country, right? Okay. So those are the things I'm going to discuss today. I'm hoping you people like it, or at least we'll go further into it to look up things for yourself that I say. I do not mind being fact-checked, except from Bob in New York, who constantly gets it wrong. No, I'm only kidding. Bob is pretty smart. All right, New York Times columnist in an interview torn about rooting for Iranian regime's downfall, since it would give a win to Trump and Netanyahu. The Times columnist Thomas Friedman said he's torn about efforts to remove the Iranian regime over concerns that it would politically benefit President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, this isn't anything new. You have people on the right that are cheerleaders. But the right doesn't hope for the failure of the United States. All right? There's a big difference in rooting, for your guy and then rooting for the demise of your country. I'm trying to get this mic right, but I think I'm just going to keep it right here with the shadow. So there's a huge difference in doing that. You could not agree with a particular administration, and you could say that those actions could hurt the United States, or that those actions aren't really necessary, or those actions conflict, or those actions are just helping one group of people instead of everyone. You could make those comparisons, and you could have a legitimate bias. But you can't go in there saying, I can't do this news story, or I can't present it the way, because I'm torn between giving the president a win against our enemies, or allowing the enemy, giving them comfort. Now, Friedman says, and nothing would improve the region more than a replacement of the regime in Iran that was focused on enabling its people to realize that would enabilize their people to live in peace and allow them to worship the way they'd like to worship and have freedoms. And stop occupying countries with terrorists like Libya, like Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. So I'm all in for that, he said. He goes, I'm all in for the stop of that. I just don't want President Trump doing it. Or Netanyahu, because I'd have to give them credit where I couldn't do the same for Biden or Obama or Bush or Clinton, that they couldn't do that. Do you see what the problem is when you have news reporters with that type of bias? And it comes on both sides, but I said the right looks at something as right and wrong. The left looks at it as we hate Trump. Oh, I'm all for getting rid of the regime. I just don't want Trump to be the one that does it. It just bothers me so much. And that's Thomas Friedman's from the New York Times opinion on it. He just can't do it. He can't get away from that feeling. And, I get... I apologize. My cold, it's allergies at this point. I just don't get that you hate a person so much that they end up hating the country. And this is Trump derangement syndrome. And the problem is, I really don't want to see Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump politically strengthened by this war, because these are two awful human beings, the Time columnist said. They are both engaged in anti-democratic projects in their own countries. Last I looked, Friedman was an American, so he could say, it's like speaking in the third tense. They're both alleged crooks. So I want to know where these are really terrible people. Protecting America, making sure that we're not defrauded, making sure that our policies in the past weren't really harming us economically. Yeah, that makes you a terrible, 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 terrible person. Is that the insanity that's going on here? They are terrible, terrible people doing terrible things to America standing in the world and Israel standing in the world. And so I really find myself torn, Friedman stated in the interview. I want to see Iran militarily defeated, but I don't want to see these two terrible people strengthened by it. So, Mr. Friedman, did you ever, in any of your columns, say that Iran is a terrible, terrible regime-run nation who holds its people back, who murders their people, who murders people all over the world through proxies paid by Iran, and that Biden should stand up to them, or Obama should stand up to them and defeat them? Did you ever once say that? Because you make these statements as if you were for them to use our military or Israel's military to bring down this regime. Did you ever once put that in writing in one of your columns to say Biden or Obama or Bush should go after them and destroy them? No, you did not, because I looked it up. And this is the problem, where now some of these people are getting called out because we have a mechanism in place still there, it won't be there for long, folks, where we can check up on exactly what these people have said and wrote in the past. And I don't mind, I certainly don't mind, a person who said something in one point in time and then goes, you know, I was wrong. I was incorrect. I didn't have all the facts. Or the facts as I saw them now, they don't add up. So I've changed my opinion. I've changed my direction. That's fine. We do that all the time. That's called growing. You know, when it's done for the right reason. But he hasn't done that. Friedman has not done that. So he's really disingenuous. And my feeling is news should be unbiased, but he gives his opinion of Trump and Netanyahu being terrible people, alleged crooks. We should be concerned on how we look. So we turn a blind eye or give people billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? Because that makes us look good. See, we're trying to do this peacefully. But you're dealing with a regime in Iran and a lot of the world that know that they can lie with impunity. Sure, we'll agree to that. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And, you know, they come back and go, I have secured, you know, Neville Chamberlain, I have secured peace in our lifetime from Herr Hitler. This is the insanity. We know what happens when you appease tyrants. It emboldens them. And you have a president that said, I'm not going to do this. I'll sit down with them once. A negotiator. Trump is a negotiator. He goes in, he goes, these are the items on the list. We have agreed to sit down, and both of us, these are our bullet points. Now, Trump goes into these things, a position he has just decimated Iran's military, castrated them. So when he sits down to negotiate, he's sitting, here's what we're going to do, fellas. And, when the other team goes, well, no, let me finish here. And then you could object, well, I'm having a cup of coffee over here. And that's how seriously I'll take it. And that's how Trump negotiates the Iranian situation. But get back to what Friedman had said. It just goes beyond the reason. Thomas Friedman, it goes against common sense. It goes against the best interests of the United States. And this was someone who, what kind of sick hate must Tom Friedman have that he roots for the USA to lose to a terrorist regime who has killed thousands of Americans? And this was the United States ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. And I said this too. I made this same comment. I didn't vote for Obama, but I praised him for taking out bin Laden. Now, Huckabee said that, and I said that too when that had taken place. I didn't vote for him. He's not my guy. But what he did here was end a chapter and sewn up an open wound that will always leave a scar. But he did it. Bush didn't do it. Obama did it. So, does that make me a liberal waving, person who contradicts himself? No. That just makes me a person that makes common sense to say, I didn't hate everything that Obama did. I didn't hate everything that Biden did. And I don't love everything that President Trump does. It doesn't make me an independent. Though I don't have a problem with an independent. It's just that the differences between the Republicans and the Democrats now is so vast that it's hard to be an independent. You got to say, I don't like the Democrats or I don't like the Republicans, but I can't agree with any of that stuff. And I don't have an independent sitting there running. I have a Republican or I have a Democrat. Now, I know I'm going to have to hold my nose with one of them because you must vote. Never, ever, ever not vote out of protest. That's silly. And what you actually do is giving the other guy you really didn't like a yes vote. Just so you know. So always vote. Never, ever, ever not vote. Now, California Post opinion editor Joel Pollack wrote, yes, there are some Democrats who want to lose militarily, so Trump and Netanyahu can't win politically. And he put it like I said in a post that I put online was, Trump's not running again. And we don't vote for Netanyahu. So, having your, we hate Trump, it's great, you hate Trump, but he's not running again. Unless you're saying that Vance will be exactly the same, be Trump 2.0. I mean, this is the crazy world that we live in. I said I couldn't even say that about Harris, who did say that she was going to keep everything that Biden was doing. And that became a problem because, well, if you're going to do everything that Biden was doing, why are we getting rid of Biden? Why'd you get rid of Biden? And if Trump's numbers are so high because of what Biden is doing, why would you take the approach, well, I'm going to do the same thing as Biden did? Yeah. And they wouldn't dare have a debate against Harris and Trump. That just wasn't going to happen. Neither side would do it, but it just looked really, everyone knew that, Trump would have decimated her. And there was no reason to at that point in time, even when Biden was actively seeking the presidency re-election, they knew he was lost. All right, so Brett Hume on Fox said, this is a perfect example of TDS, as I said before too, the same thing, that this hatred of Trump by the media, but they love what he's doing, getting rid of Iran and defanging Iran, and I've said this before, can only help the next administration. And if the Democrats are screaming they will be the next administration, this can only help them. If they're so certain that they're going to win, a very silent nod of approval would help Trump eliminate the regime and thus making a Democrat who comes into power who doesn't have to deal with an Iran that is nuclear or Iran that is threatening to go nuclear and has the capabilities of striking. If Iran were to use nuclear missiles, they're not going after strategic targets that are hardened military targets that would take a precise hit within 3 feet, 1 meter to destroy. If that device hit 100 yards away, that hardened military would still probably be considered an asset. So who are they going to shoot these missiles at? London? Berlin? Cities in Poland? Where, Hawaii? The United States, mainland? I mean, where are they going to shoot these missiles at? They're not going to shoot them. They'll try to shoot them at military bases, but military bases are protected a hell of a lot more than civilian spaces. So they're going to send them where they could do the most amount of damage. A defanged Iran can only help the world in the long term, not short term, long term. So, again, you have the Democrats on the losing side. Just doesn't make sense for them to do. All right. Over 22 minutes of that. How's that, folks? For a short show. That was item 1 out of 5. All right. Ex-Army employee charged with leaking Delta Force secrets, and they're placed under house arrest. This is another case of a ex-military person releasing very, very sensitive information that they shouldn't be releasing on their own. There is a channel that you can go through to say, I'm going to release this information. I want to release this information. And they go yes or no. And it's actually very liberal, the process. But a former Army employee accused of leaking information about an elite military unit, and they said it was the Delta Force, has been released to home detention awaiting trial, a federal judge ruled on Monday. Courtney Williams, 40, of Wagram, North Carolina, appeared in federal court in Raleigh, where U.S. Magistrate Judge Brian Myers ordered her released under strict conditions, including location monitoring and a ban on contacting the media or using social media at all. William faces 4 counts of communicating and disclosing national defense information after prosecutors allege she shared sensitive details about special military units based at Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg is located in North Carolina. Each count carries a sentence of up to 10 years. Authorities say Williams, who worked as a defense contractor and later a Defense Department employee between 2010 and 2016. Now, 2010 to 2016 would put her under the Obama administration. She held a top secret security clearance and had access to highly sensitive material. The indictment alleges between 2022 and 2025, 6 years after she left, Williams communicated extensively with journalist Seth Harp, including more than 10 hours of phone calls and hundreds of text messages. Harp later published some of the information in his 2025 book, The Fort Bragg Cartel, which alleged misconduct within Delta Force. I'm in the process of looking at that book now to see what the allegations are, and I'll get back to you on that. I'll do a quick read, which is hard for me nowadays. The information included the real names of unit members, covert tactics and techniques, and even a cover identity used by the unit, as well as details tied to sensitive overseas operations. Now, there's a lot of people that say she gave away information that was 10 years old. Or in this case, that was 6 years old at this time. And in almost 9 years, and the book, had old information in it. The problem is, just so you get where the government's going to take their stand, is when you agreed not to release this information, without going through the proper channels before you release it. Secondly, and this is most important, is that because you left your position knowing all these secrets, we have assets that are still working for the United States military, CIA, whatever. And this information gets out, and they start looking at a puzzle and start going, well, we don't know what 5 people over here was giving this information out. And our way of fixing it is to eliminate 5 people, and we're sure to get the person that, we wanted eliminated, because if they gave secrets then, they're giving secrets now. And my look at it, and no one said, was she paid this, or was it just in, hey, I got a question, you were in there, how did they do this? Now, some of the information is just going to be garbage information that is already known, already knew. We know what the tactics are of the Delta Force. We know what the tactics are of SEAL teams. We know those tactics. You can go on shows on YouTube, you can go on shows and documentaries and find that information out. You might not get the names of people involved with it for security reasons, or they're, shadowed out or blurred out, or the names are withheld, or their voices are changed, for security reasons. But normally, if you're going to give information like that, you have to have it cleared. Now, I don't know what the lifetime ban is on that, but there are still secrets being held from World War II. So, now, the FBI also on April 9th arrested a suspected leaker who was releasing information to a media group that has not been identified as of yet, of the pilot who was shot down over Iran. And the big thing there was speculation of a pilot shot down or had his aircraft crashed there. We still don't know which one is true. It didn't matter. But by giving the Iranians information that there is a downed pilot or missing aircraft, well, now they start looking. This guy's valuable. He's like gold. We can parade him. We can hold him for leverage. And what that individual did, were they paid? Again, now, see, if you're trade, then that's treason. If they just released military information that they were not authorized to divulge, those are different. You're going to get 10, 20 years, possibly. But you're not going to be tied to a pole and shot, which I think that those that commit treason, they pay the ultimate price. You have to have 100% proof. You cannot have circumstantial. You can't have anything like that and do that. Now, of course, the military handles things differently, but, you got to catch the guy, little women like the TV, spies with the little miniature camera and, and they catch him with that and stuff, and you're doing that. Well, you're going to have a bad day unless you can get us a bigger fish. Your time here on Earth is going to be cut short. All right. So that's what's going on in the world of leakers. Now, the other big news is in the House of Representatives. We have some people that are alleged to have done naughty, naughty things. Eric Sewell, Democratic congressman from California, has exited his run for governor of California. And this was a biggie because he had gotten a lot of backing from a lot of people. And a lot of Democratic donors gave to this guy. And he's being he has exited his race after allegations of sexual abuse charges made by 4 women. Sewell also agreed to resign from Congress. Tony Gonzalez, Republican rep from Texas, also is resigning due to allegations of an inappropriate contact with a staff member. The staff member is saying, just said, we had an affair. It was consensual, and, I'm fine. Nothing bad happened, but, yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen. Now, when you put a man and a woman together, and you might spend 15 or 18 hours with that person over the course of time, there's going to be a relationship that develops. And things can happen. It's just human nature. It shouldn't, and these people should be able to stop themselves from it, but sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants. Now, in the case of Sewell, these women said that they were raped, that they were forced, that he was aggressive with them, that he was this. Those are allegations. Now, Kash Patel said, and I read it, I didn't hear him say it, that Eric Sewell should sit down with the FBI so that they can get his side of the story on these allegations. Now, these two have bad blood together. And you can ask that he come down and just tell us what you think. You asked Martha Stewart how that worked out for her. She was never charged with lying. She was charged with misleading, making misleading comments. Because she sat down with federal agents and they go, we just want to talk with you. If I was any person, if I was Sewell, I would myself, the police, the FBI, anyone comes to my front door and goes, we'd just like to have a talk with you. Yeah, guys, I really don't want to discuss anything in my life. I do not want to discuss anything that I do during the day or night. Do you have a warrant for me? No, we just want to talk. Not interested, thank you. You close the door. Now, I would immediately ask my neighbor to use her cell phone and call a lawyer, because these guys are going to come back. And if they do come back, they might have a warrant. They might have a subpoena that I have to appear. And then, again, they might say, hey, we can, you know, all we really wanted to do is talk with you. And now you forced us to go this way, but this could all be done, you know. You could be watching the 6 o'clock news tonight when we're done talking. Yeah. Never, if you're the fox, you don't walk into the hen house when the hens are holding axes and go, come on, we're just going to talk. It's like, you know, a sheep and 2 wolves all hanging out together, and then the wolves turn to one another and go, what do you feel like having for lunch today? You know, as they're looking at the sheep. So always exercise your 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights. Mostly if they go, we have a warrant for you. Open the door. You see the police come up to your door, you lock your screen door, or you talk through the door. Mostly, and I get it. Most people want to go, I got nothing, you know, to hide. I haven't done anything wrong. Well, you don't know what you might have done wrong. You don't know what your brother might have done wrong, or your sister, or your mother, your father, or grandfather, or child, or wife did wrong. So if they come up to the door and want to talk, you could be, listen, leave your card here. I'll have my attorney reach out to you and we'll see what he says. I'll see what he advises me to do. And thank you. You open your door. You got to be careful because police can't put their foot in the door. And then if you try to slam the door, you're attacking a police officer. Then they can come in. Then, you know, it's not a knock and talk anymore. Now it's something has now escalated where, you know, if they go, yes, we have a warrant for your arrest. Yeah, put it up to the window so I could see it. Well, we don't have it with us. Well, you come back with it and, you know, we'll go from there. And then you immediately call a lawyer. Just find one in the book that's close by, that's a criminal defense lawyer, and you're going to be paying, but, you know, the fact of the matter is that's the difference of going home that night after you have to speak with the police and sitting in a jail cell for a few days or weeks or months. And it's very important. You could be guilty of sin. You still have rights. And those rights have to be acted on. So it's very important that people know what their rights are. And Kash Patel saying, please just come in and submit to an interview with the Bureau over these allegations of sexual misconduct. No. That's. I didn't like when they did it to Trump. I didn't like when they do it to someone else too, because that just means that they'll do it to me. And I'm not a congressman, and I'm not Donald Trump. Can you imagine what they'll do to me and you? Always exercise your 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights. Even if you are guilty. If you are guilty, that's even a better reason. Don't help them convict you. Make them work for it. I know that's a terrible thing to say. But it is the government's obligation to make evidence to present the evidence, not make evidence, but present the evidence, and bring that forward so you can look at it and your lawyer can then defend against that evidence or question the evidence or the validity of the evidence or how the evidence was gathered. It's your freedom. But more importantly, it's your right under the Constitution. And when you don't exercise those rights, these rights become looser. And criminal has the same rights as a non-criminal when it comes to the law. So I don't like that. I don't like what Kash Patel said. Can he say it? Absolutely, he can say it. Should he, with the person that he is the long-time adversaries? No. If I was Kash Patel, I might swing it around a different way and I'd just go, listen, if Eric Sewell wants to speak with the FBI with his attorney and answer questions that we might pose to him, yeah, we're open for that. But they could do that anytime they want. You don't have to have an invite if you're these charges, if there's any charges placed against them. Just an allegation. It's just an allegation. Now, announced plans to resign from the House in the wake of claims he sexually harassed at least 4 women, slept with subordinates, and committed sexual assaults on at least 2 occasions. Now, if he was doing that while he was on official business, then yeah, it becomes a federal crime. It could become a federal crime where, he took away these women's rights. And, you could have a plate of spaghetti there that faces all this stuff. So, I look at this and, these are allegations. Allegations. He claims they claim that he harassed at least 4 women. What did he say? What did he harass? Did he tell them, hey, I'm a congressman. I sit over here and here and here. And, I can make your life a little harder for you. Give me some sugar. We sweeten this thing up a bit. Yeah, that could be a problem. That would be a problem. If he said something like, hey, come on, just give me a kiss. I just want a little pat. But didn't do it. All right, that's inappropriate, but I wouldn't rake it up there to, on a pile to go, oh, this is the most horrible thing that could happen to him. I would trust this guy's judgment. And, but I don't know if that would be sexually harassed. I don't know what sexual harassment really can come down to, mostly in the state of California. If you look at a woman for more than 3 seconds, who knows? I don't know. But if you're using your position to obtain sexual favors, it's good to be the king. I mean, I'm just saying, you know. Now, the big question is that this guy is going all through these things, and that doesn't happen in a vacuum. People had to have known. And other Democrats had to have known. And when this guy's running for Congress of a state where we've had presidents come out of after becoming governors, you might want to take a real hard look at this guy and go, can he carry the load? Can he get all the way up the hill without any of this stuff? Is there stuff in there that we need to know to go, yeah, hey, you didn't think what you did was important there or going to be a problem? Well, that's on you now. But you ain't taking this whole organization brand and tarnishing it. That's the problem that these guys face. Now, Swalwell is in a lot more trouble than Gonzalez. Because that was just, you don't be poking the help. That's the rules. You broke the rules. That, again, questions your judgment. I need people here that are good judgment. Elliot Spitzer. Yeah, if I was married to who you were married to, I might be looking elsewhere, but I can't go to a bar, so I pay someone. But that's a judgment. You used poor judgment. For you, a man in your position. Yeah, and nothing happens in a vacuum. People know. So he's gone. He's done for. And now you're going to start looking around to see who's draining around the toilet now with him. Now the show's going an hour. And I said, I do not think Swalwell should be asked to make any comment about allegations to anyone except his lawyer. And that would be my advice to him. Don't like him. Don't like his politics. Don't like his attitude. He didn't come over as a very genuine individual. He just didn't. And that was to me. He might have been the salt of the earth. He might have been the best thing since apple pie. And I don't know him. I just see what he has done and seen and heard what he has said. And I don't particularly find the guy to be intellectually up there. I mean, that's what I liked when you hear J.D. Vance speak. Even some other Democrats, some Democrats that I hear speaking, I mean, you can get on board with what they're saying. And they're making an intelligent presentation. That was the beautiful thing about Bill Clinton and even Barack Obama. They could get their point across in 2 sentences. Because honestly, most people, that's it. They only hear the first 2 sentences, and then after that, it's and this is what I think we should. But in those first 2 sentences, you get everything across. It's a wonderful thing. And that's where they were good at. That is where Bush the second, you know, he couldn't do that. He'd get up there as, good old boy and, tried that, not the most elegant speaker, intelligent man, but not the most, elegant speaker. Donald Trump can get up there and speak as if he was sitting in a bar. And would look at you and tell you, yeah, you're full of it. Shut up. Oh, yeah, you want to do something about it? Come on. So he could get down to the brass tacks of things. That he could hit those brass tacks and go, I can make this guy understand. Now, I'm 100 times smarter than that guy. But I'm smart enough to know how to get into that guy's head. And that was his thing. Gavin Newsom, great speaker. No doubt about Gavin Newsom being a good speaker. Gavin Newsom being a good guy? No. Another privileged. And he was privileged and is privileged. So when he thinks I'm one of the people, you ain't one of the people, pal. You're one of the 1%ers of the 1%ers. We got your ticket, pal. All right, so Kash Patel got into that, and I don't think Kash Patel should have gotten into that because the lawyer could go, let's go to the FBI with what we know about these women. And, they've lied before. They made 30 accusations against people, and now they come out against this guy during a political year, and, it's you can't defend yourself. It's, now, again, I wouldn't. I'll see, what charges. If they have charges, then we have to answer those charges. But we're not helping them with a timeline here. Let them do that work. All right. Now, the D.C. Circuit Court, District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., tells Judge Bosberg. Now, Bosberg was the one who said, you put this person on a plane and I told you not to, or, boom, boom, that you couldn't. And then once it passed the international, 5 miles out, I told you to turn that plane around and bring. And now I'm going after the lawyers involved with that. No. A circuit judge finally ended Judge Bosberg's year-long campaign against the hard-working department attorneys doing their jobs, fighting illegal immigration. Acting Director of the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche, said in a statement. So, Todd Blanche turned to Judge James Bassett on Tuesday, accusing him of targeting DOJ attorneys after an appellate court rebuked the Obama-appointed judge for a second time in his ongoing immigration case. The bottom line is that judge had no power to do what he did. As I have said before, rights flow down. And what this judge tried to do, he couldn't do. And there's a lot of that going on, and there's going to be a lot of corrections with that going on. But this was a win for the Trump administration. And it should not have even gotten there. I mean, anyone who was looking at, Bosberg knew that you can't do that. And yet, this is the waste of time the Democrats will do in just impeding. We know we can't stop Trump. We know that he is constitutionally allowed to do what he is doing. But we're going to take what should be a straight road and we're going to swirl it around and make it so tight that should be a mile because we put all these turns in it and turns it and turns it, and now 10 miles. We're going to make him work for it. When he did have to work for it, he could do it. This is the problem the Democrats are putting in front of themselves. It's just going to come right back. This is going to be things that are, candidates are going to put out there to saying, we were elected to do this. And the Democrats are fighting your choice. The Democrats are fighting to keep what they were doing that got us voted in. They're trying to take that vote away from you. And that's what they're trying to do. And they will go to any length to do it. Waste any amount of time. Instead of worrying about things in front of us, true things in front of us, this is what they do. All right, this is going an hour and 2 minutes, much longer than I wanted to go today, but there was a lot of news, and there's things that I wanted to say. Mostly now, I'll just skip over this and go right into my feelings on Iran. The president has done a very good job with our military to box Iran in. We have people that support them, and we know that this is just a fact of life that we have to deal with. We shouldn't, but we do. But President Trump is giving Iran enough rope. And they think that they, are going to flip it around on Trump. The worst thing you could do is think you're 5 steps in front of Donald Trump. Because in reality, you're 20 steps back. And he's already planted the mines that you're now going to be stepping on. And when I say that, Trump, I give you 2 weeks. I bombed the hell out of you. I can basically fly over and really don't have to worry too much about, you always got to be vigilant. And I gave you 2 weeks. We'll work with you, 2 weeks. Ceasefire. And then the negotiations. And the negotiations are all hinging upon, of course, their ability to make nuclear material. And every president, be it a Republican or a Democrat, has said, we don't want to see an Iran that has nuclear weapons. It was just how much of a commitment were we going to make to stop them? And Trump has decided this was the commitment. So he said, listen, I'm all for letting you sell oil. We're going to defang you. You're not going to be attacking your neighbors. You're not going to be funding terrorists against Israel. You're not pushing them out of where they're living. That's not happening. But you can sell your oil. You could rebuild your infrastructures. You're not going to be making ballistic missiles. You're not going to be doing this stuff because you can't. The government can't be trusted, and we want 10 years. And they go, well, we'll do it for 5 years. Now that's a negotiation. That's, you ask for this, and now you start give and taking. But when you have Iran who says, well, I have the material already, and we just won't use, well, no. I want you not to have the ability to make any of it anywhere. And I don't want you to even have it. Because it's a threat to everyone. Now, Democrats, I want you to think for a minute here. You are some Democrats, not all Democrats, and let me just reframe that. But you have a lot of progressives and liberals that are saying, no guns. No one has guns because, yes, they could go for hunting, but they could also be used against me. Well, can't that same argument be made about Iran's nuclear capability? That they could use it against other people too? You have any problems with that? And you turn around, well, no one's stopping Russia, no one's stopping China. None of the countries that I know that have nuclear weapons have said that they are there to wipe out a race of people. Iran is not one of those people. Iran has said, we want to wipe out the Jews. And with the help of God, we shall. You want those people to have nuclear weapons? Because it's Jews, and then it's anyone that doesn't follow Shia law or Sunni law or prays East 5 times a day. You want that? I don't. And I don't want them going, well, yeah, you could shoot 20 of ours down. We got 60 of them. You can get 49 of them. We got 60 of them. No, I don't want them to have any, and we will stop them. And I want a regime there that goes, listen, I want to sell oil. I want to make nuclear fuel to sell. Well, then, you know what? We're going to let you do that after we see you guys playing nice. And we, the world, Russia, China, international agencies can come in and verify that you took X amount and you made that would make 10 pounds. And now we go and look and we go, well, that should have made 10 pounds. I only see 5 pounds here. What up with that? And until we can have that guaranteed with the threat that if you do not give us that access, we will be on you quicker than you could even imagine. And if we get whispers that you're developing weaponry like that, you are gone. There'll be no chance for you to use them. And we'll just take everyone in that regime and we will force a change on you, like we have done. I think that where Trump can turn around and say, hey, listen, We're cleaning up the strait. They have mines all over the place. These people, are bad. And I gave them a chance to come back into the fold. They chose not to. I gave them then 2 weeks to come up with a what we call reasonable plan here. And you refused. We're not playing this game here. We're not doing this. We're not round. We want a square table. I want a round table. I want an oval table. I want this. We're not doing that again. Because now we'll just come in and you know what? We'll take Cork Island out. You can pump all the oil you want. There's nothing. There's no way you could ship it anywhere. We're going to blockade you. We're going to isolate you like a siege, like we've been doing. And I think Trump can go and we tried. Here's the evidence now. Here's all the evidence we have. Bring in Democrats that know the truth, that will speak the truth. Bring in Republicans that will know the truth and speak the truth. And present those facts to America. And go, this is why. They were becoming a truly imminent threat. And I couldn't, as the president, leave this for the next president, be it Republican, be it a Democrat, to have to face. So, you guys can't hurt me. You cannot not elect me again. You guys can't impeach me for this because here's the proof. And I think it will be, if the Democrats make this fatal mistake that they're making, and Iran could care less. Who knows who's really over there running the show? Who's left? But here, Trump is leading you right down the path. And you don't see it. You just don't see it. All right, an hour and 15 minutes is more than I want to do. So everyone, be well, be good, and I'll catch you later. Please give to a qualified well, let me just say this as I get, because I just had another thought. Please donate to a qualified charity, one that you go to. They don't come to you, you go to them. Don't become a victim helping a victim. Now, if you're uncomfortable with that, and I can certainly understand in today's world where you would be uncomfortable with that, please give to a local food bank. They need food, they need money. It helps locally, and you could see exactly that help that goes out. And you do that without the idea, well, these people put themselves in that situation. Well, there's children involved in many of these cases. Did they bring this on themselves? You know, let's solve one problem at a time, but hunger is an immediate problem that needs to be addressed. Say a prayer. Prayer does work regardless of what a Democrat might tell you. So, everyone, be safe, be well, be good. And I might be back on tonight with a show. Not sure. Got to see how I feel. All right, everyone. Be well. Bob in New York, I'll be in touch. I'm sure if you didn't get through this far. As I fade to